Hi, my name is Carolyn Goska. I'm an editor at Teacher Created Materials. Editors make sure that books are interesting and teach important information to students. We make sure that words are spelled correctly and that quotation marks are in the right place. So if you like details like that, you might consider becoming an editor. I am going to read you a story called Way Back When. It's written by Helen Bethune, illustrated by Shelley Dietrichs. It's a fiction reader. And I'll tell you what it says on the back cover, even though you can't see that. When Ethan interviewed his grandpa to find out what school was like when he was young, there were many surprises. So I bet you know who these people are. This is probably Ethan, and this must be his grandpa. Ethan burst into the kitchen where his grandfather was sitting with his laptop. Hey, Grandpa, can I interview you for my school project? I have to find out what sort of things you did when you were my age. Grandpa laughed. Ethan, you would not believe how different things were way back when. Why, when I was your age, Ethan interrupted. I'm sorry, Grandpa, but I've already figured out a list of questions. Can we stick to those? Ethan had his pencil and notebook ready. Sure, Ethan, let's see what you've got, said Grandpa. First, what games did you play at my age? Asked Ethan. Let's see. We played baseball and basketball. I was in Little League, replied Grandpa. I'm in Little League too. What else? We played with frisbees, marbles, and jacks. I had the most cat's eyes in my grade, said Grandpa. I had 32 of them. Now I'm going to stop for a minute to share something. What do you think is in this pouch? That is the sound of marbles. I think my older brothers played marbles. Marbles come in many colors and sizes. Some of them are opaque. They just show the color on the outside. Some of them are transparent. You can see through them. Some have these designs on the inside. And these are the ones that are called cat's eyes. Do they look like cat's eyes to you? Maybe a little bit. You can see the different colors on these. I think they're rather pretty. Some of them are big, like this. Here's a big one. I don't even think it's a marble. Look, it has like a little weird thing on it. But I have no idea where it came from, but I put it in the marble bag. But most marbles are like this. So here we are back to the story. No one at school plays marbles. And what are cat's eyes? Ethan doesn't know what cat's eyes are, but now you do. Oh, forget it. You had frisbees? Wow, I love playing frisbee with Scout. You can see the picture, right, of Ethan playing frisbee with his dog. What are jacks? Grandpa said, I'll draw one for you. Look at his paper. You need a set of them, and then you need a hard surface and a little bouncy ball. Can we look it up online, Grandpa? Then I could get a better idea. Probably. Everything's on the internet. That's something very different from my day. You kids never need to go to the library to look up information or even read a book. You just look it up online. Ethan looked surprised. I read books? That was my next question. What were your favorite books when you were my age? Grandpa ruffled Ethan's hair. I know you read books. Speaking of favorite books and marbles, reminds me of a book that I loved growing up called Ring-a-Tink in Oz. You know, there are lots of Oz books, and most of them are better than the first one, which is the most famous one. But anyway, in that book, Ring-a-Tink, there are 3 magic pearls. The blue pearl gives you superhuman strength. The pink pearl protects you from harm. And the white pearl speaks words of wisdom. The prince in the story has to use the pearls to free his people from wicked rulers. But I digress. Let's see what Grandpa's favorite books were. Grandpa continued, well, I really liked Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham and The Cat in the Hat, just like you. And I liked The Saggy Baggy Elephant. That's the one we read together just the other week. And I really liked comics. Every week I spent a dime on them, said Grandpa. That's cheap. Did you read Ninja comics? Asked Ethan. They're great, but they cost $4 each. What computer games did you play? Grandpa sighed. No, Ninja comics weren't around then, and neither were computer games. In fact, computers hadn't been invented. But you had electricity, didn't you? Ethan asked. What do they teach you in school? Yes, we had electricity. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb in 1878. Ethan grabbed his calculator. That's more than 135 years ago. Yes, said Grandpa, but we didn't use calculators. We did have a television, but it was in black and white. TV was in black and white? Wow! Ethan rolled his eyes. I guess you didn't spend much time watching it then. It must have been really boring. You're right, Ethan. We didn't spend much time watching television. There weren't lots of shows for kids then. My friends and I spent our time riding our bikes around the neighborhood, going down to the stream, and catching tadpoles. Your parents let you do that? Ride around on your own? Ethan asked. Grandpa replied, there weren't so many cars in those days, Ethan. It wasn't as dangerous. What sort of car did your family have? Ethan asked. We had a Ford Fairlane. It had a huge hood, a V8 motor, and my dad got 10 miles to the gallon out of it. That's an awful lot of gas, but it was cheap then, and people didn't realize the effect those cars were having on the environment. Look, I'll show you a picture of one, said Grandpa. Ethan gazed at the car. Wow, did your mom drive you to school in it? That would have been awesome. No, we caught the bus to school, just like you do. I think those buses have been around forever. Ethan looked at his list of questions. Grandpa, I think I've got enough information now to do my project. I only had to ask you 5 questions, but I've got more answers than that. You've been a big help. Thank you. As Ethan started to leave the kitchen, he turned to his grandfather and said, "You know, Grandpa, even though lots of things were different way back then, lots of things are still the same. That's kind of nice." Grandpa smiled. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed Way Back When.